But Lachlan, I just don't have time. Really? You don't have time. Is that actually a true statement? If we checked your phone, how many hours a day would it say that you're using your phone for? If we could see how much time you spend on social media, on watching TV, on video games, on just fucking fapping about, what would those time frames say? Do you actually not have time, or do you have a utilization problem? And when I say things like this, I want you to heavily understand that I am the same way. I am someone who wastes a lot of time. I get to the end of days and I'm like, the fuck did I do today? And I think this is the biggest problem with it all. And especially when you have an abundance of time, which generally speaking, let's be honest, since you are a father, when you are a parent, you don't necessarily have an abundance of time. It's just not how that kind of works. But yeah, I've really found that when I used to have a trainer running all my sessions. I had all day to get my work done. And I'd usually cram it in a couple of hours at the end of the day. Because when you have this abundance of time, you procrastinate on it. You go, I've got plenty of time. But it's that standard adage of, want something to get done fast, give it to a busy man. Because someone who's already busy, who's already tapped out on their time, knows how to efficiently get things done. And that's a real big part of it. There's a big difference between busy and working. And I find that the majority of people are just busy. They're just filling their time with busy work. And it's part of, 126, and it is, I will openly admit, hand on heart, something that I need to get way fucking better at is the allocation of my time to things that matter. But one of the things that we utilize in that is what's called the greatness list. And it's 5 things, and look, they're usually going to be aimed at work, but they don't necessarily have to be. They have to be things that are going to grow you, that are going to progress you forward and push you forward with the smallest amount of action. So, best bang for your buck, basically, is what we're looking for on this front. And so you have 5 things, and you must pre-write it at the start, the day before, and those 5 things have to get done. And depending on where you're at, they can be anything. Often they are things, for me, around business, around this, that I believe are going to move the needle. They're the things that, if I get them done, are going to progress me forward the most. And so they're the 5 things. But once they're written down, they have to get done. And what I've often found is it's one of 2 things that happen. One, we drastically overestimate how much we can get done in a day. Or B, we drastically underestimate how much we can get done in the day. And there is a skill in learning, A, that time management and how much time we are wasting, and B, what can actually be accomplished in a day. And that's part of why it's in the 126 to Greatness, because you do need to learn these skills. And as I said, I am still not there. I have not fully nailed these skills, but I'm better than when I was when I started 126. And I know in phase 2, I'm going to tighten it up. I'm going to add in extra things so that it is tighter again, because it is a really, really important skill to have. And there are days where I write these 5 things down and I get 45 minutes to an hour into it and I'm like, I'm finished. But on the flip side of that, that's also how that works. That if the things that are going to get you the most progress, that are going to push you the farthest forward, in the smallest amount of time only take you an hour, that's not a bad thing. That's fucking winning. But then you have more time then to utilize it on other things. And you need to make sure then that you utilize it for things that matter. That you don't then piss that time away and waste it on things that do not serve you. And this is the catch with it, because I've fallen victim to this myself. That I'm like, boom, I'm done. I'm like, I'm going to get an early night. I'm going to spend some quality time with my wife. I'm going to do these things. And then I end up wasting time, usually on social media or TV or things like this. Whereas I'm like, if I'd continued to use that momentum that I'd created from doing the greatness list, I would have been much better off overall. And this is where we need to find the balance, that we need to not only create that, but then when you start to nail that time frame that you are consistently pushing forward, that you then don't waste that time, that you then don't go back into sedation mode. You don't go back into doing things that are purely for the sake of sedating and dopamine chasing. You utilize that time for benefit. You utilize that time to get better at what you're doing. And even if it is just rejuvenating, as we discussed the other day, if you missed that one, go back and check it out. It's called Rest versus Rejuvenation. But we use that time to actually rejuvenate ourselves. We don't sedate. We don't just mindlessly numb ourselves down. We rejuvenate ourselves. And those things require a little bit of effort. But if you get yourself ahead, you utilize those times. But I do firmly believe that there is so much of this where people tell me all the time they do not have time to exercise, they do not have time to put in any extra effort into things. And I was like, is that true? To kick it back to Byron Katie's questions, is that true? Are those feelings actually true? Or is that a story you created? Because 99 times out of 100, it's just a motherfucking story. And it'll also come down to what you prioritize. What matters most to you? And I can give the example of that because I have a client, and especially during their busy period, they are legitimately working 100 to 120 hours a week. It's fucking insane, the level of work they do. And this is only about a 3-month stretch where they go all in for this time. They still work out 4 times a week during this time. And then I get people who are working 38 hours a week being like, I just don't have time to work out. You do. We all have the same amount of time in a week. It just comes down to what you prioritize, what actually matters to you. And I often find, as I stated, that when you start to take on more responsibility, more load, more actions that are required each day, you actually get more productive, not less productive. You find the efficient way to get shit done. You show up better and do the motherfucking work. And I think that's the goal that we need to start pushing forward, that we're not here to be busy. We're here to work. We are here to lead the best life we can humanly possibly lead. We are here to get the most bang for our buck out of everything that we do. This is what we are aiming for. So we need to start pushing forward. We need to start questioning how much time we are using on each thing. I know in many areas of my life that I end up wasting time for this reason, and I need to start refining the process. And as I've added more and more to my plate and more has gone on, I'm like, no, I am wasting time. Things that I would allocate, an hour to, because I've dicked around and done stuff that didn't matter, I then waste time. So we need to choose how we utilize our time properly, because you have priorities, you have responsibilities and commitments, you have responsibilities to your children, to your wife, to the people that you serve. So you need to make sure you have enough time to utilize and look after those people in your life. But it also comes back to that thing of, if you are sacrificing all your time to others, you are doing them disservice. And I get people pushing back on this all the time. They're like, no, that's not true. And I'm like, it's 100% fucking true. Because if you are not showing up as the best version of yourself, if you aren't looking after your physical, your mental, your spiritual and emotional health, you are under-delivering for them. You are letting them down. And your kids, your wife, those that you serve deserve fucking better from you. So you have to make time. You have to allocate time. And that doesn't mean you neglect them. It doesn't mean you ignore them. It means that you figure out a time to get that shit done. You know? And it just comes down to what you truly value. I had someone message me just today, and they were like, I really admire that you get up and you go to work every single day in the dark and the cold, and you come home in the same. And they're like, I can't even get out of bed in the morning. And if it's cold and dark. And I was like, I appreciate that. And that was a nice compliment, and I appreciated that. On the flip side, I was like, I can't understand how you can't. You have so much that you're leaving on the table. You have so much that you want to do more, be more, live more, act more, be a better version of yourself. And you're basically choosing not to because the comfort of your bed is too nice. And I think that's a really sad reality of it. And as I've discussed before, you can judge the quality of your values based on your life. If you aren't happy with where you are in your life, that shows that your priorities are in misalignment. So it's time to take better action. It's time to do more. It's time to be more. It's time to act better. You know, is that comfort, that, you know, instant gratification of staying in a nice warm bed worth more to you than inspiring your children? Worth more to you than being the fittest and healthiest version of yourself? Worth more than you than leaving a legacy for your family? Is it worth more to you than these things? I'm assuming the answer is actually no. And yet, your choices suggest that it is. Your choices are showing that that's what you value more. You value a lie-in and a sleep-in and the comfort of the covers more than looking after your family, leading by example for your family. That is what you are screaming that you value more. And I'm guilty of that. There are days where I am guilty of that, 100%. Hell, it happened this week. My son came into our bed at 2 a.m. We don't even know how he got out of his room, really. Like, apparently there was a stool in his room and he just escaped somehow. We didn't know he could do that, but he was distraught. And he came into our room absolutely distraught. So we took him into our bed and he slept in our bed and, you know, he was happy again. But within that, I had a shit night's sleep. So I didn't want to get out of bed in the morning. I really didn't. I didn't want a fucking bar of the cold. It was supposed to snow. It was one of those days, and I didn't want a bar of it. The wind was fierce. All this kind of stuff. And so I chose comfort over practicality. And I regretted that decision. You know, I really did. I regretted that choice because I let my family down. And look, it was only an extra hour, so I got up at 6 rather than 5. But in that time, it meant I could have utilized that time better. I could have utilized that time to get better, to push myself further. I could have utilized that for time for work, and then I could have gotten to spend more time with my wife that night. These are the flow-on effects of these choices. And when I teach these things and when I talk to you about these things, it's not because I'm fucking perfect. It's because I'm sharing these experiences as I go through it. And I'm choosing what needs to value more. And as I said, I fucked up. I made that mistake. I made the wrong choice. And was that extra hour of in bed worth it? No. No, it was not. Did I feel better? No. Did I gain extra sleep? No. All I gained from that was I lost out on things that would have truly benefited me. And this is the choices that we make every single day. So my question is to you, and I'm leave this with you, and I need you to ponder it. Are you actually busy? Are you actually working, or are you just making busy work? Do you actually have the time, but you're choosing not to utilize it? These are the questions I need you to ask yourself. So that's what I'll leave you with. And as always, standard platitudes. Please, if you enjoyed this, if you found value in this, if there was something interesting in this, please like, comment, subscribe, follow along, join me on this journey. If you felt that there was something here, please share it. Help me get this word out to impact more fathers and make a difference in this world. That's why I'm here. And if you're ready to take the next step, the link in my bio, join the Daily Greatness mailing list, and you'll get daily topics to improve your greatness. Or if you're ready to cut the bullshit, if you're ready to burn the motherfucking boats, go all in and become the best father, husband, and man that you can be. Send me a message. Let's burn the boats and let's see what you are truly capable of. Let's truly find out the man that you are meant to be. Until then.